still New Day on Signature TV, and we are still discussing issues around drug abuse. And we are going to be talking about preventive medicine and the aspect of patient care when it comes to patients affected by overuse or incessant use of these drugs. And here with us to have this discussion and unpack the subject matter are two giants in industry. To my left is Dr. Peace Ihanacho. She is a mental health nurse, also a lecturer at the Department of Nursing Services, University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And to my right is the amiable gentleman, the person of Dr. Vincent Mwokejezi Ubochi. He is a consultant psychiatrist, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Enugu. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Mwokejezi. You know, from the instant I heard and I read that name, I knew there was a story behind it.
No, why in Jay-Z? Coming from my
Okay, so this is a whole new discussion. So, madam, let me start with you. Drug abuse, all right? What has been your experience as a nurse, as a lecturer, a public health practitioner? What has been the trend, you know, with drug abuse? Because there was a time it was cannabis, you know, and then just quite recently, meth. What has been the trend, you know, given your experience in the industry?
Thank you very much. Well, because I work at the lecturing arm there, and then also use the, you know, get experience, maybe taking students out to clinical areas. One thing I know is that the prevalence is much more than we think.
Really?
For example, I once went to check out a facility in Enugu here when I was looking for a place for my postgraduate students. I entered, that's not the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, I was looking for another thing, another facility. When I went to that facility, I saw two wards. One had 13 patients, the other one had 20, some almost double. So I was asking, the one with fewer patients was a female ward, and the one with the
double of the number,
yes, was a male ward. So I was asking why, and I was just told drugs. So if you also go to Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, you see, where we use mostly, the situation is not less. You see so many young people on bed being treated, and that's because of drug abuse. So it has actually increased the number of people that are affected by mental illness. Again, even among us, among the students, you also see several studies which show that students use one thing or the other. It's true that many of them are not considered illicit in that sense, but people actually use drugs. And I've also had to come across, you know, because if you are in class, you also maintain this stance that if you have a problem, you can always reach out. So a few of them have also come to the office. Sometimes you see somebody in a very bad state, you know, actually looking for help. So it is there.
Absolutely. So in your opinion, you're thinking that it has increased over time. You know, the prevalence of these this drug abuse has increased over time. That is what you're saying.
Of course, because I look at the indices in society. Is it poverty that is improving? Is it employment that is improving? Everything.
Yeah.
Even this today, okay, look at hunger these days and so many other things. So
all right. Doctor, before you, let me just a follow-up question. Doctor, in your line of work as a consultant psychiatrist, well, let me rephrase it. let's talk from the parental point of view. How has drug abuse and its effects, how has it impacted the family? That is one. And then secondly, how do you think parents can actually help in ensuring prevention of drug abuse? How has it affected the family integrity? How should parents ensure that these things are prevented in the first place?
In the first place, I would like to take a shot
Yes.
from where Dr. Yanacho started
Okay.
on the prevalence.
Yeah,
Drug abuse, as a matter of fact, is a public health problem
definitely.
and is hitting hard to the society, to families, to government establishments, and in short, the workforce in Nigeria. That over time, if nothing is being done, I wonder how we are going to survive the whole situation. I bet is complications and other problems that is associated with it. Now, when you come to, we had a drug report in our hospital, Federal Psychiatric Hospital, about 84% of males admitted in the world has drug issues. Whether it is the drug that is causing it, or whether it is the mental illness that is causing it, is a thing of another discussion. But the most important thing is that 84% of patients admitted, that means if there are 100, 84 of them have
drug-related
problem. They have that comorbidity.
What are some of the comorbidities?
There's some mental illness with comorbid drug abuse, drug dependence, let me use it properly, drug dependence, or anxiety with drug dependence, or schizophrenia, and let's say depression also with comorbid drug issues. So this becomes a very serious problem. Your question is, how has it impacted the family? And in fact, it is multifaceted. It affects them economically. It affects the esteem of the family, self-esteem of the family, the esteem issue in the family. It affects everything. Imagine a mother that bore a child for 9 months, raised the child up to university or secondary school level to be abusing drugs, and at the end of the day, become a thorn in the flesh of the mother, beating them up, stealing their money to maintain their drug habit, crashing their cars, and more so, coming to the hospital for admissions. In admission, you pay hospital deposit, you pay for drugs, you pay all the payables. Then, as we will put up all the direct costs in terms of monetary value, the family loses a lot of money treating their patients in the hospital.
How affordable are drugs for treatment?
That's another game. You see, when we talk about drugs now, things are going, that common drug we used to buy, we used to give to patients at, let's say, 50 naira per tablet, is now about 200 to 300 naira per tablet. Some of the drugs, some are not even available. So the parents spends a lot of money to deal with their child, which they are not even sure whether this child will come back to be completely off drug or not, because it's a brain issue. Drug is a brain issue. It resets the brain chemistry or the brain architecture and chemistry and shape the behavior. I used to say, you take drugs, drugs will take drugs, and drugs will take you.
Okay, sir.
That's quite deep.
Okay, sir. Moving on. I picked something that you said. You said drug dependence, and I begin to wonder what will make someone depend on drugs. Like, why will a full-blown adult want to depend on drugs? What are the reasons?
When you talk about dependence, we are talking about there are certain criteria to make diagnosis of a dependence. Some of them are one, that the person used to take small quantity of that drug, and at certain times he will take more in order to maintain the same feelings he used to have before. That is tolerance.
Okay.
The person has been taking this drug and gotten used to taking the drugs.
Becomes an addiction.
with dependence, dependence is a more technical term we use than addiction,
Okay.
which is more derogatory.
Okay.
Actually, we try to avoid any derogatory statement to our patients,
Okay.
so as to make them feel good to change, to accept change.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, the same person will be, when you finish, if you don't take this drug, you start having reactions. That is withdrawal symptoms.
Withdrawal.
Symptoms that will make you crave and go for it. And if you get it, you calm down again. That is another one of the criteria again. Another criteria for that is that this person prefer drug-related behaviors in terms of trying to seek for the drug to any other social or pleasurable activities. You present good food to this person now.
He wants to take the
He will
drugs before
drop,
he
he
eats
drop the food and go and take the drugs. And even when he takes the drug and come back, he may not be able to take the food again because he's already satisfied. Then the other person, do you know that this drug is causing problem for you? And you keep taking it. The implication is that you have lost control of the use of this drug and that the drug has reset your system. That means initially you were the one taking the drug.
And the drugs started
Later,
taking
the drug will
drugs.
start taking you, and
And
at
then-
the end of the day, the drug will take you.
Take you.
Is that a direct quote from you or?
Yes.
I think I like that. Over to you, Dr. Ihanacho. You said something about, I want to look at the area of students who are actually involved in this drug abuse. And I'm very I'm particular about the girls because the girls are now into drugs. Now I want to know, our earlier guest said something and he said, the NDLEA guy, he said that the causes of this drug abuse is because of unemployment. And I believe students are not looking at employment when they are in school. So can you actually elaborate on the causes of this drug abuse?
Thank you. The truth is that talking of causes of drug abuse is a multifactorial matter. You can even begin to talk about something genetics, maybe some inherent weakness somewhere, to be able to maybe resist stress or be resilient one way or the other, because everybody passes stress. Everybody gets stressed at one time or the other. So you can begin to talk about a familial tendency to maybe use drugs.
Or be
And then this one, sometimes you don't know actually whether it is genetic or the fact that it was, somebody was observing it in the family. So that now goes to also do with early exposure, because if it's in the family, maybe a father or any other elder person in the family is doing it, a child is exposed early. And remember the role of modeling. Whether you like it or not, the child doesn't have to know whether the thing is
They
good
pick it up
or
even
the other.
passively.
Yes, and they model it. So that one is another one. And then you begin to talk about peer pressure. In the university, that one is the biggest.
Yeah.
Somehow, of course, there's peer pressure, there's social pressure.
Yes.
Because out there, up till now, we have not addressed the matter of, the
Social
fact that
media
people
impact.
who are doing these drugs are actually the celebrities.
Social media impact.
Yeah.
Yes, we have not addressed them. The way, like somebody said, smokers are liable to die young is like an afterthought. In fact, everything has finished before that thing comes in. So,
Even when it's on the pack.
so these influences among students is actually peer influence, although social media influence has come to be almost at par because they are always there. So this influence tends to make them think, oh, this is the reason they are happening. And there's nobody who doesn't want to happen. The truth is that they may not know the implications and they go in. I used to tell students that something like cigarette smoking, it's, the addiction or the dependence starts with the first stick. But they don't know. And I used to say, if it does not start like that, the first time somebody pops in, the smoke of cigarette, it is so uncomfortable. they will cough, they will do every kind of thing, but then the person goes back. Literature actually documents that it starts like that. So the first thing is, empower them to know that, look, this thing, before you even get into it, it is harmful.
Absolutely.
So this influence is about the biggest for students. They go together, and for so many of them, this is the first time they are coming out.
Yes.
From parental, control.
Supervision.
Yes. So immediately they come out. It depends on who they fall into his or her hands. And also depending on family values. Because as he's talking about family, we must insist as family members, as parents especially, to make sure our children have value system. But nowadays it's not there. I also used to tell everybody I have opportunity to come in contact with, don't be fast to throw away your values. The person you're following may not even know the direction. So you might be the person. So I find that influences is very, very
brilliant.
important.
Madam, just a quick one. I love that you said do not throw away family values. So it means that a lot of awareness and reinforcement needs to go to, raising these children.
Yes.
Now, talking about the girl child, because there is research now that girls are gradually marching up to the males in this vice. There have been stories of girls, especially in colleges, universities, going for parties and then being drugged. Because you mentioned something like it starts with the first draw or the first puff or whatever, first stick. Now, what, as a nurse and as a lecturer, are there awareness campaigns or platforms to reiterate the importance of girls to keep their family values? Most of the time, these girls are introduced to these vices, passively. They are not willing participants. So is there something actively being done, a strategy to target, that side of the
in addition
issue
to what she's saying, I'm very keen now with the social media influence. So as well as are there strategies, like are there means of sensitizing these girls, this youth? Are we also looking, how do we also move this social media to a way where we are using it to actually curb this menace than, using it to promote drug abuse?
Well, if I could start from there, there are so many things also on the social media that are positive. It depends on what somebody wants to listen to or what he wants to follow. The only reason we are emphasizing media influences and peer influences is that their stage is actually, adolescence, young adulthood. Many of them, is really a transition for many of them. So it becomes difficult sometimes. In terms of whether there is something that we do officially, just like that not many things are being done officially here, but from our point of view, for example, there is no mental health day that we do not come out with students, especially the ones in postgraduate doing mental health nursing, that we do not do something on campus. In the campus, you also see youth-friendly centers, how much they work.
Ma'am, is there something in the curriculum? You're a lecturer.
Very important.
Is there something embedded somewhere in the curriculum that will address this issue?
Only for the people that are affected. You are talking about the health sciences, for example, it will be in the curriculum, but not in the university. What is in the university is like this youth-friendly centers, and then the thing that we do, the individual efforts that we make.
Thank you,
like the awareness we create on mental health days.
But is it enough?
Well, it's not, but I've already said
this
like
is something
so
that we
things.
need to look into.
That's
something
all right.
we need to look
That's
into.
all right. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ubochi.
Dr. Ubochi Nwokediezi. We're going to have a conversation over that name. Because
I'll refer you to my wife.
I love the name.
Okay, so still talking about the public campaign and sensitization, I believe that the health sector should also take lead in this campaign and sensitization. So what is the health sector doing towards it to make sure that every patient that comes around is aware of this drug abuse and ways to actually limit or not to depend on it, like I said?
Yeah, honestly, we are doing a lot, especially at the level of Federal Psychiatric Hospital in Enugu. We are doing a lot in trying to sensitize people. We go for outreaches in some villages to get them sensitized about some of these things. And we do them, like, for instance, we went to different universities, like Go University, we were there some times back. The VC was very cooperative with us. He was present, the whole staff and students. We delivered different topics to them and sensitized them and encouraged them to form clubs. And encourage the university system, NUC in particular, to incorporate in their GS program on mental health.
So is there some monitoring and evaluation attached to this strategy? Have you guys gone back to check if the clubs have been formed or they are running, if they have indeed been formed?
Yeah, well, we did it as a one-off something. Then when we needed to follow up, but
it's important.
The communication just didn't continue.
It's important.
Yeah, so no, I understand what you're saying. We go to farm villages and do outreaches, at least to sensitize them, and set up some consciousness among the leaders of that community. And in fact, currently, we are taking a lead based on the mental health law of Nigeria to integrate mental health in all general hospitals and primary health care centers.
How far have you gone?
Yes, we have been moving forward. We are doing well.
Has it passed a particular level?
Yes, we are. You see, the point is that the governments are very, very, very recalcitrant to follow the trend of things, especially when it concerns mental health. But they do not know that at the end of the day, the water will get them above their neck.
Okay, sir. Dr. Ubochi, looking out, you being a psychiatric in the federal government psychiatric hospital, chief consultant rather, I was actually wanting to get more response regarding the government's contribution in the fight of this drug abuse, and what are the challenges and what are the ways that we can handle these challenges coming from the hospital angle?
Yeah, first of all, the challenges are so much. We have the biological side challenges. That's following a model of the physical, that is the illness model. Following also the social model and psychological model. You see, the challenge is too much. First of all, I'm trying to reel out the challenge so that you know the aspect government are doing and what they are not doing. In terms of treatment facilities, the government has done a lot in providing funding for equipping and upgrading some of the mental health facilities in Nigeria. Federal Psychiatric Hospital is not an exception. Now, but the much that is being sent cannot solve the problem. Like in a hospital now, we have drug units. But this drug unit is not functioning to its maximum because the facility that is required to carry out full drug rehabilitation has not been put in place. It requires a full-grown building with its own facilities. Talk about gym, education centers, everything. And such thing is not available. Some hospitals like Dokuta, Yaba, Banawa, Kaduna, and Iselu, Benin, has over years developed those because they are the oldest of all of them. They've developed, and they had good funding also to develop some of these things. But in Enugu here, we are still at our tutelage age. We are still doing business as usual. as much as we can. Now, but again, when you talk about funding, the state and the local government and the individuals in Nigeria, philanthropic individuals in Nigeria, they don't see the need because we have reached out many of them. None of them is showing the need that this thing is a big problem that is even affecting some of them and their children. They would prefer to fly their children to US or to UK or to India to come back again to our hospital for treatment without facility because it's a recurrent condition if it is not well managed. So our people, government, and individuals are not really showing the expected response to mental health issues.
Yeah.
But I warn them, it will definitely drown all of us.
Our prayer is that it wouldn't
That
get
is
to
at
that.
the rate they are going. It's just like the way Boko Haram is drowning Nigeria, the way banditry is drowning Nigeria. It's not that we don't know what to do. We know what to do. And even this Boko Haram banditry, do you know the number of mental illness it has generated on people? Displaced families, all those things. It can equally push some of them to drug abuse. And keep recycling.
The vicious cycle.
Yes, because it hardened them to sit fighting back and creating, okay, since you have done it to me, I have to do it to the next person.
Right.
And the chain will continue. I call on the government seriously and individuals, especially philanthropic individuals, these people that think they are rich. Well, you may be monetarily rich, but mentally poor. So I want them to be mentally rich, to reach out to people
Brilliant.
and that need
Thank
services
you.
and develop facilities.
Okay, I
Thank
think
you so much, Dr. Bochi. I think that's much we can take. You are a walking, talking book on this issue, and I know that we throw it open that you're going to take us for 24 hours. But we're going to have to end this segment. Thank you so much, doctors, for being with us today. And there you have it, viewers. I think the onus is on not just government, while we await government might to do the needful, civil societies, non-governmental organizations, parents, right, caregivers. Please, let's come together and mount pressure on government. Government never offers anything on a platter. There must be pressure from relevant stakeholders to ensure that the things that need to be done are done. All right, we are going to go on a short break. We still have more lined up for you. Please stay with us.